I want to speak with you today about something that lives in the silence between heartbeats, something that moves through the veil we call death with the same ease that light passes through water. If you are here, if these words have found you in this moment, it is because someone you loved has crossed over, and yet you feel them still. You sense their presence in ways you cannot explain to others, in ways that make you question your own mind, your own heart. But let me tell you something I have learned through decades of sitting with the dying, with the grieving, with those who stand at the threshold between worlds. You are not imagining it. They are still with you. I have spent my life in the company of mysteries. I have sat beside hospital beds and held the hands of those preparing to leave this world. I have listened to thousands of stories from people who have lost someone they cannot bear to lose. And what I have observed, what I have come to understand through direct experience and through the ancient wisdom that flows through all genuine spiritual traditions, is that death is not an ending. It is a transition, a change of form, a stepping through a doorway that we, on this side, cannot yet see clearly. And those who have stepped through that doorway do not forget us. They do not abandon us. They remain connected to us through bonds that are stronger than flesh, deeper than time. Now, if you are someone who has recently lost a parent, a partner, a child, a dear friend, and you have been experiencing strange occurrences, fleeting sensations, dreams that feel more real than waking life, then what I am about to share with you may reorganize everything you thought you knew about death and presence. Because in the next hour and a half, I am going to walk you through the signs, the symbols, the subtle and not so subtle ways that those who have passed continue to reach out to us, to comfort us, to let us know that love does not end when the body fails. And I am going to explain why these signs appear, what they mean, and how you can open yourself more fully to receiving them. But before we go further, I want to ask you to do something. If this message resonates with you, if you feel that pull in your chest that tells you this is for you, I want you to subscribe to this channel, not because I need the numbers, but because content like this, content that speaks to the deeper mysteries of existence, is rare. It is difficult to find voices that will speak openly about these things without fear, without skepticism that closes the door before it even opens. And I want you to stay until the very end of this video, because I am going to share with you a specific practice, a way of inviting communication that has brought profound peace to countless people I have worked with. And finally, when we are done, I want you to leave a comment telling me which sign you have experienced most strongly, because your story matters. Your experience is part of the great tapestry of evidence that consciousness does not die, that love is eternal. There is no coincidence that brought you here. You were meant to hear this. Your loved one, the one you miss so deeply, may have guided you to this very moment. So, let us begin. The first thing I want you to understand is that those who have crossed over exist in a state that is fundamentally different from our own, yet not as separate as we imagine. Think of it like this. Imagine you are standing in a room, and in the next room, separated only by a thin curtain, someone you love is standing. You cannot see them clearly, but you can hear their voice, sense their movement, feel their presence. That curtain is the veil between the physical world and the spiritual realm. It is thin, it is permeable, and those on the other side are constantly finding ways to move that curtain to let us know they're there. The signs they send us are not random. They are intentional, deliberate acts of love. But they must work within certain limitations. They no longer have physical bodies, so they cannot simply walk up to us and embrace us, though I believe they wish they could. Instead, they work with energy, with symbols, with the language of the soul, and the signs they send are often tailored specifically to us, to our memories, to the private language of love that existed between us and them when they were alive. Let me share with you the most common signs, the ones I have seen again and again, the ones that appear across cultures, across belief systems, across time itself. The first sign is the dream visitation. Now, I am not talking about ordinary dreams, where the mind processes the day's events or works through anxiety. I am talking about dreams that feel different. Dreams where your loved one appears to you with a clarity, a presence, a vitality that takes your breath away. In these dreams, they often look younger, healthier, radiant. They may not speak many words, but the words they do speak carry weight, carry meaning that stays with you long after you wake. And when you wake from these dreams, you do not feel the usual grogginess or confusion of waking. You feel peace. You feel certainty. You feel that you have truly been with them. I have heard this described thousands of times, and the consistency is remarkable. People will say, "It wasn't like a normal dream. It was real. I know it was real." And I believe them, because in the dream state, our conscious mind, with all its doubts and fears and need for rational explanation, steps aside. The veil thins, and our loved ones can reach us more easily. If you have had such a dream, do not dismiss it. Do not let the skeptical voice in your head tell you it was just your subconscious trying to comfort you. Yes, the subconscious is involved, but it is involved as a bridge, as a translator. Your loved one is using the dream state to communicate with you because that is where you are most receptive. The second sign is the appearance of specific animals or birds, especially at significant moments. I cannot tell you how many people have told me that after a loved one passed, a cardinal appeared at their window every morning, or a butterfly landed on their hand at the funeral, or a dragonfly hovered near them while they were crying in the garden. These are not coincidences. In many spiritual traditions, animals are seen as messengers, as carriers of spirit, and those who have crossed over can work through the natural world to send us signs. Now, why a cardinal? Why a butterfly? Often, it is because of a memory, a connection. Perhaps your mother loved cardinals. Perhaps you and your father once watched butterflies together in the summer. The sign is personal. It is meant for you. And when it appears, especially repeatedly, especially at moments when you are thinking of them or needing comfort, pay attention. Acknowledge it. Say their name. Thank them for reaching out. because that acknowledgement strengthens the connection. The third sign is the sudden, unexplainable fragrance. You are sitting in your living room and suddenly you smell your grandmother's perfume. You are walking down the street and the scent of your father's cologne surrounds you, though no one is near. You are in your kitchen and you smell the specific dish your spouse used to make, though you are not cooking it. These olfactory experiences are powerful because scent is so deeply tied to memory, to emotion, to the limbic system of the brain where our deepest feelings reside. Your loved one knows this. They know that scent can bypass your rational mind and speak directly to your heart. When this happens, do not look for a logical explanation. Do not convince yourself that it was just a neighbor's perfume or a trick of the air. Trust your experience. Trust that your loved one is saying, "I am here. I am with you. You are not alone." The fourth sign is electrical interference. Lights flickering when you speak their name. The television turning on by itself. Your phone displaying their name, or a song that was meaningful to both of you, suddenly playing on the radio. I know this sounds strange to some, but energy is energy. Those in the spiritual realm are beings of pure energy, and they can manipulate electromagnetic fields more easily than they can manipulate dense physical matter. So they work with what is available: electronics, lights, anything that runs on energy. I have heard stories of people whose loved ones were engineers or electricians in life, and after they passed, electrical phenomena became the primary way they communicated. It is as if they are using the skills they had in life to reach across the veil. If you experience this, especially repeatedly, especially in response to your thoughts or words about them, recognize it as communication. Speak to them. Tell them you understand. Tell them you feel them. The fifth sign is the finding of objects in unusual places. You discover a coin, always the same year, the year they were born or the year they died. You find a feather on your pillow, though your windows were closed. You come across a photograph of them that you had not seen in years, and it appears at the exact moment you were questioning whether they are still with you. These are not accidents. These are placements. They are working through the subtle movements of the physical world to bring something into your awareness, something that will trigger recognition, memory, connection. I knew a woman whose husband passed suddenly. Every time she felt despair, every time she questioned whether life was worth continuing, she would find a penny. Always a penny, always heads up, always in the most unlikely places. On her car seat, in her shoe, on her bathroom counter. She began to collect them. She began to see them as love letters, and they gave her the strength to keep going. The sixth sign is the sensation of physical touch. You feel a hand on your shoulder when no one is there. You feel someone sit on the edge of your bed at night. You feel a gentle touch on your cheek, a brush of fingers through your hair. This is one of the most comforting signs and also one of the most startling, because it is so direct, so undeniable. Your loved one is reaching through the veil to offer you comfort in the most human way they can, through touch. If this happens to you, do not be afraid. Fear closes the door. Instead, breathe, relax into it, say their name, Tell them you feel them. Tell them you love them. Because that openness, that willingness to receive, allows the connection to deepen. The seventh sign is hearing their voice. Sometimes it is external, a whisper of your name, a word of comfort spoken aloud. More often, it is internal, a thought that drops into your mind with such clarity, such certainty, that you know it is not your own thought. It is their voice, their wisdom, their love, speaking directly into your consciousness. This is a form of telepathic communication, and it is more common than most people realize. I have learned to distinguish between my own thoughts and the thoughts that come from beyond. The thoughts that come from beyond have a different quality. They are calmer, wiser, more loving than my anxious, worried, human thoughts. They often come at moments when I am quiet, when I am open, when I am not trying to force anything, and they bring peace. If you hear their voice, trust it, especially if it is offering you comfort, guidance, encouragement. That is them. That is their love reaching you. The eighth sign is synchronicities and meaningful coincidences. You think of them, and immediately a song that was special to both of you plays. You are struggling with a decision, and you open a book at random, and the passage speaks directly to your situation, in their voice, with their wisdom. You see their name everywhere, on license plates, in articles, on signs. These are not random. These are orchestrated moments woven into the fabric of your reality by a consciousness that loves you and wants you to know they are near. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, the meaningful coincidence that cannot be explained by cause and effect. I call it the language of the soul, and those who have crossed over are fluent in it. The ninth sign is the behavior of children and animals. If you have young children, you may notice them talking to someone you cannot see, laughing at something invisible, saying that grandma or grandpa visited them. Do not dismiss this. Children are more open to the spiritual realm because they have not yet been taught to close themselves off, to doubt, to fear. They see what is there. And animals, especially dogs and cats, will often stare at a particular spot in the room, follow something with their eyes that you cannot see, react with joy or calm to a presence you cannot perceive. They are sensing your loved one. They are acknowledging the presence that is there. If your child tells you they saw someone who has passed, listen. Ask gentle questions. Do not tell them it was just their imagination, because it was not. It was real. And your validation of their experience will help them maintain that openness, that connection to the spiritual realm, which is a gift. The 10th sign is the appearance of their favorite things or symbols associated with them. You see their favorite flower blooming out of season. You find their favorite candy in a place you would never expect. A stranger wearing their cologne sits next to you on the bus. These are breadcrumbs, little reminders scattered through your day to let you know they are walking beside you, even though you cannot see them. Now I want to pause here and address something important. Some of you may be thinking, But I have not experienced any of these signs. Does that mean my loved one is not with me? Does that mean they have forgotten me? And the answer is no, absolutely not. There are several reasons why you might not be perceiving the signs.
The first is grief itself.
When we are in the depths of grief, our energy is so heavy, so dense, that it can actually create a barrier. It is like trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a storm. The whisper is there, but the storm is too loud. As you move through your grief, as you begin to find moments of peace, of openness, the signs will become more apparent. The second reason is expectation. If you are looking for a specific sign, if you are demanding that they appear in a particular way, you may miss the signs they are actually sending. They will communicate in the way that is easiest for them, in the way that is most meaningful for you, but it may not be the way you expect. So release your expectations. Be open. Be receptive. Pay attention to the subtle, the small, the seemingly insignificant. The third reason is fear.
If you are afraid of the supernatural, afraid of ghosts, afraid of what it might mean if you truly acknowledge that they are still present, that fear will close you off. And they will not force themselves on you. They respect your free will. They will wait until you are ready.
And the fourth reason is simply timing. Sometimes, in the immediate aftermath of death, there is a period of adjustment for the soul that has crossed over. They are orienting themselves to their new reality, their new form. They are healing, learning, being welcomed by those who went before them. And then, when they are ready, when you are ready, the communication begins. So, if you have not experienced signs yet, do not despair. They are with you. They have not forgotten you, and the signs will come. Now, let me take you deeper.
Let me explain why these signs are possible, what is actually happening from a spiritual and energetic perspective. When someone dies, their physical body ceases to function, but consciousness, the essential self, the soul, does not die. It cannot die, because consciousness is not a product of the brain. The brain is a receiver, a translator, a tool that consciousness uses to interact with the physical world. But consciousness itself is non-local, eternal, infinite. It exists beyond the body, beyond time, beyond space. When the body dies, consciousness is released from the limitations of physical form. It expands. It returns to its natural state, which is pure awareness, pure love, pure energy. But it does not lose its individuality, its personality, its memories, its love for those it left behind. All of that remains. And because it is no longer bound by the physical, it can perceive us, be with us, in ways that were not possible when it was incarnated. Think of it like this. When your loved one was alive, they were like a person wearing a heavy diving suit, walking on the ocean floor. They could only move in certain ways, only perceive certain things, only interact with the physical world through the limitations of that suit. But when they died, they took off the suit. They rose up through the water, into the light, into the vastness. And now they can see the whole ocean. They can see you, still on the ocean floor.
and they can send you signs, messages, love from the place of freedom and light where they now exist. But here is the key. They are not far away. Distance is a physical concept. In the spiritual realm, there is no distance. They are as close to you as your own breath. Closer.
They are in the room with you now. They are in your heart. They are woven into the very fabric of your being, because love creates a bond that transcends death. The signs they send are their way of reminding you of this truth. They are saying, I am not gone, I am here. I am different, but I am still me, and I still love you. Now let me share with you some of the deeper, more subtle signs that people often miss. One of these is the sudden, unexplainable shift in your emotional state. You are drowning in grief, and suddenly, for no reason you can identify, you feel a wave of peace, of comfort, of love wash over you. This is not your own emotion. This is their presence, their energy surrounding you, holding you, soothing you. They are doing for you in spirit what they would do for you if they were still in body. They are comforting you. Another subtle sign is the intuitive knowing. You suddenly know something you could not possibly know. You know they are okay. You know they are at peace. You know they want you to forgive yourself, to let go of guilt, to live fully. This knowing does not come from your rational mind. It comes from a deeper place, a place of direct soul-to-soul communication. Trust it. Another is the dream where they give you specific information. They tell you where to find something you have been looking for. They warn you about something that is coming. They give you advice about a decision you are facing. And then, when you wake and follow their guidance, it proves to be accurate. This is not wishful thinking. This is genuine communication. Another is the physical healing or improvement that occurs after you feel their presence. You have been sick, and after a dream of them, you begin to recover. You have been in pain, and after sensing them near you, the pain eases. They are working with your energy, your body, to bring you healing, because they can no longer care for you physically, but they can care for you energetically. And another is the creative inspiration. You are an artist, a writer, a musician, and suddenly you create something that feels like it came through you rather than from you. And it carries their essence, their style, their spirit. They are co-creating with you, inspiring you, working through you to bring beauty into the world. All of these are signs. All of these are forms of communication. And the more you acknowledge them, the more you open yourself to them, the stronger the connection becomes. Now I want to talk about something that troubles many people. The fear that they are holding their loved one back. That by grieving, by missing them, by wanting them to send signs, they are preventing them from moving on, from progressing in the spiritual realm. And I want to tell you, from everything I have learned, everything I have experienced, that this is not true. Your grief does not trap them. Your love does not bind them. They are free. They are at peace. And they choose to stay connected to you because they love you. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Because love is the fundamental force of the universe, and it does not end, does not diminish, does not fade just because one person has crossed the veil. In fact, many spiritual teachings suggest that those who have crossed over take on a role as guides, as guardians for those they loved in life.
They watch over us. They help us in ways we cannot see. They whisper guidance into our hearts. They orchestrate synchronicities to help us find our way. They are not stuck. They are not suffering. They are actively participating in our lives from the other side. So do not feel guilty for missing them. Do not feel guilty for wanting signs. Do not feel guilty for talking to them, for asking for their help, for keeping their memory alive. All of that is healthy. All of that is natural. All of that honors the love that existed and still exists between you. What you do need to be careful of is becoming so focused on the other side that you stop living your life on this side. Because you are still here for a reason. You still have purpose, still have work to do, still have love to give and receive. And your loved one does not want you to stop living. They want you to live fully, to find joy again, to honor their memory by embracing life, not by retreating from it. So the balance is this: stay open to the signs, cherish the connection, talk to them, feel them near you, but also live, laugh, love, grow, because that is what they want for you. That is what they are cheering you on to do from the other side. Now, let me give you some practical guidance on how to increase your receptivity to these signs, how to strengthen the connection, how to invite communication in a healthy and balanced way. The first practice is to create a sacred space. This can be a small altar in your home with their photograph, objects that belong to them, candles, flowers. It can be a corner of your garden where you sit and think of them. It can be a specific chair where you meditate and open yourself to their presence. The physical location matters less than the intention. You are creating a space that is dedicated to connection, to remembrance, to love. And when you spend time in that space regularly, it becomes a portal, a thinning of the veil, a place where communication is easier. The second practice is meditation and stillness. In our busy, noisy, distracted world, we are rarely quiet enough to hear the whispers from the other side. But if you can set aside even 10 minutes a day to sit in silence, to breathe, to quiet your mind, to open your heart, you create the conditions for communication. You do not have to do anything elaborate, just sit, breathe, think of them with love, and listen, not with your ears, but with your heart, and see what comes. The third practice is to talk to them out loud. I know this may feel strange at first, especially if you live with others who might not understand. But when you are alone, speak to them as if they are in the room with you, because they are. Tell them about your day. Ask them for guidance. Tell them you miss them. Tell them you love them. Thank them for the signs they have sent. This verbal communication strengthens the bond and makes it easier for them to respond. The fourth practice is to keep a sign journal. Write down every possible sign you notice, no matter how small, no matter how uncertain you are. The flickering light, the song on the radio, the dream, the feather, the scent. Write it all down with the date and the context. Over time, you will begin to see patterns. You will begin to see that certain signs appear at certain times in response to certain needs, and this documentation will strengthen your faith, your certainty, your connection. The fifth practice is to ask for a specific sign. You can say, "If you are with me, please send me a cardinal," or "Please let me smell your perfume," or "Please come to me in a dream." Be specific, but then release the expectation of when and how it will come. Trust that they heard you and stay open. Often, the sign will come within days, sometimes within hours, and when it does, acknowledge it with gratitude. The sixth practice is to work with your own energy. Grief, as I said, is heavy. It lowers your vibration, and those in the spiritual realm exist at a higher vibration. So anything you can do to raise your own vibration makes connection easier. This means taking care of your body, eating well, moving, resting. It means spending time in nature, which has a naturally high vibration. It means surrounding yourself with beauty, with music, with love. It means practicing gratitude, even in the midst of grief, because gratitude opens the heart, and an open heart is a receptive heart. The seventh practice is to work with a medium or intuitive if you feel called to do so. Now, I want to be very careful here. There are many frauds, many people who prey on the grieving, but there are also genuine mediums, people with the gift of bridging the worlds, who can facilitate communication in profound and healing ways. If you choose to see a medium, do your research, ask for recommendations, trust your intuition. A genuine medium will bring through specific information, details that they could not possibly know, and the communication will feel loving, healing, empowering. If it feels manipulative, vague, or fear-based, walk away. And the eighth practice, perhaps the most important, is to live in a way that honors them. What did they value? What did they love? What did they want for you? Live that. If they valued kindness, be kind. If they loved music, make music. If they wanted you to be happy, find happiness. Because when you live in alignment with the love and values you shared, you are honoring them in the deepest way possible. And that honoring is itself a form of connection. Now, I want to address some of the questions and doubts that may be arising in your mind as you listen to this. You may be wondering, how long will they send signs? Will this connection fade over time? And the answer is that it can last as long as you both desire it. Some people receive signs for the rest of their lives. Others find that the signs become less frequent as they heal, as they adjust to life without the physical presence of their loved one. But the connection never truly ends. It simply changes form, and you can Always reach out, always ask for a sign, and they will respond.
You may be wondering, what if I am just seeing what I want to see? What if I am creating meaning where there is none? And this is a fair question. Our minds do seek patterns. We do want to find comfort. But I would ask you this: does it matter? If believing that the cardinal is a sign from your mother brings you peace, brings you comfort, brings you a sense of connection, then it is serving a healing purpose. And who is to say it is not real? The boundary between the subjective and the objective, between the psychological and the spiritual, is far more blurred than our materialist culture wants to admit. Trust your experience. Trust your heart. You may be wondering, why do some people seem to receive many signs, while others receive few? And as I mentioned earlier, this has to do with receptivity, with openness, with the unique relationship between you and your loved one, with timing. But it also has to do with the soul's journey on the other side. Some souls are more communicative, more active in reaching back. Others are more focused on their own healing, their own growth in the spiritual realm. And that is okay. It does not mean they love you less. It simply means they are on their own path, just as you are on yours. You may be wondering, can I ask them for help with practical things, or is that inappropriate? And I would say, absolutely ask them for help. They want to help you. They want to support you. Whether it is finding a lost object, making a difficult decision, navigating a challenging situation, ask them, talk to them, and then pay attention to the intuitive nudges, the synchronicities, the sudden ideas that come to you. That is often how they respond. And you may be wondering, what happens if I remarry? If I fall in love again? Will they be hurt? Will they stop sending signs? And this is a tender question, one that carries a lot of guilt for many people. But I want to tell you, those who truly love us want us to be happy. They want us to live fully. They want us to love and be loved. If you find love again, it does not erase the love you had with the one who passed. Love is not a finite resource. The heart can hold multiple loves, and your loved one, from the perspective of the spiritual realm, where they are no longer bound by ego or jealousy or fear, will celebrate your happiness. They will bless your new relationship.
And they will continue to be with you in a different way, but still present.
Now, before I share with you the specific practice that can open the door to deeper communication, I want to take you even further into this mystery. I want to talk about the stages of grief and how they affect our ability to receive signs. I want to share with you some of the most profound stories I have witnessed. And I want to address the deeper spiritual questions that arise when we begin to truly accept that death is not the end. You see, grief is not a linear process. It does not move in a straight line from pain to acceptance. It is more like a spiral where we circle through different emotional states, sometimes returning to places we thought we had left behind. And each stage of grief affects our receptivity to signs
in different ways. In the initial stage of shock and denial, when the loss is so fresh that it does not feel real, many people report an almost eerie absence of signs. It is as if both the griever and the one who has passed are in a state of transition, of adjustment. The griever is numb, disconnected from their own emotions, let alone from subtle spiritual communications. And the soul that has crossed over is orienting itself to its new reality. This is normal. This is natural. Do not interpret this absence as abandonment. Then comes the stage of anger and bargaining. This is when we rage at the universe, at God, at fate, at the unfairness of loss. We make desperate deals in our minds. If only I could have one more conversation, I would give anything. And interestingly, this is often when the first signs begin to appear, because that intensity of emotion, that raw, unfiltered longing, creates a powerful, energetic signal. It is like a beacon that calls to our loved one across the veil. And they respond. A dream comes, a scent appears, a song plays at the exact right moment, and for a brief instant, the anger softens into something else. Hope, connection, wonder. The stage of deep sadness, of depression, is perhaps the most difficult. This is when the reality of the loss settles into our bones, into our daily life. This is when we wake up every morning and remember, again, that they are gone. And as I mentioned earlier, this heavy, dense energy of profound grief can actually create a barrier to receiving signs. Not because our loved one has stopped sending them, but because we are so submerged in our own pain that we cannot perceive them.
This is why practices that lift our vibration, even slightly, are so important during this stage. A walk in nature, a moment of gratitude for a memory, a conversation with a friend who understands. These small acts create tiny openings through which the signs can reach us. And finally, there is the stage of acceptance and integration. This does not mean we stop missing them. It does not mean the grief disappears. It means we learn to carry the loss, to weave it into the fabric of our lives, to find meaning and purpose, even in the midst of sorrow. And this is when the communication often becomes most clear, most consistent, most profound. Because we have done the inner work, we have opened ourselves, we have learned to live with one foot in this world and one foot in the awareness of the larger reality that includes both the living and the dead.
Now let me share with you some stories, real experiences from real people that illustrate the power and the beauty of these signs. I knew a man whose daughter died in a car accident when she was only 19 years old. He was devastated, broken in a way that seemed irreparable. He stopped going to work. He stopped seeing friends. He sat in her room for hours holding her clothes, unable to accept that she was gone. And then, one night, about 3 months after her death, he had a dream. In the dream, his daughter came to him, radiant and smiling. She said only one sentence, "Dad,
I need you to look in the blue box. And then she was gone, and he woke up. He did not know what blue box she meant. He searched her room, the garage, the attic, and then he remembered. Years ago, when she was a child, she had decorated a shoebox with blue paint and stickers. He had not thought of it in years. He found it in the back of a closet, buried under old blankets. Inside were letters, letters she had written to him over the years, but never given him. Letters that said, "I love you, Dad," and "Thank you for always believing in me," and "I am so proud to be your daughter." He told me that finding those letters saved his life. They were proof that she had loved him, that he had been a good father, that their relationship had been real and deep and meaningful. And they were also proof that she was still with him, still guiding him, still caring for him from the other side. Because how else could he explain that dream, that specific instruction, that perfect timing? I knew a woman whose husband died suddenly of a heart attack. They had been married for 42 years. She did not know how to live without him, and in the weeks after his death, she began to notice something strange. Every time she felt completely overwhelmed, every time she broke down in tears, a specific song would play on the radio. It was their song, the one they had danced to at their wedding. The first time it happened, she thought it was coincidence. The second time, she started to wonder. By the 10th time, she knew. He was reaching out to her. He was saying, "I am here. Remember our love. Remember our dance." She started talking to him out loud. She would say, "If that is really you, play the song again." And within an hour, it would play. She tested this dozens of times, and it worked almost every time. It defied statistical probability. It defied rational explanation. But it brought her immense comfort. And eventually, she started to feel his presence in other ways too. A touch on her shoulder, a warmth in the room, a sense of peace that would descend on her in moments of despair. She told me, "I know he is with me. I know it as surely as I know my own name, and that knowledge has allowed me to keep living, to keep finding joy, to keep honoring the life we built together." I knew a mother whose young son died of leukemia. The grief was unbearable. But a few weeks after his death, her daughter, who was only 5 years old, came to her and said, "Mommy, Tommy visited me last night. He said he is not sick anymore. He said he can run and play and he is happy. And he said to tell you not to cry so much because he is okay." The mother asked her daughter what Tommy looked like in the visit. The daughter described him exactly as he had been before he got sick: healthy, energetic, full of life. She described details of a place she could not possibly have known about, a garden with specific flowers that the mother had only mentioned once, years ago, as her idea of heaven. The mother chose to believe her daughter. She chose to trust that her son had indeed reached out through his little sister, who was still open and innocent enough to receive the message clearly. And that belief, that trust, transformed her grief. It did not erase it, but it gave her hope. It gave her the strength to keep going, to keep being a mother to her daughter, to keep finding meaning in life. These stories are not unique. I have heard hundreds like them, thousands, and they all point to the same truth. Love does not die. Consciousness does not end. And those who have crossed over are still intimately involved in our lives, still sending us signs, still loving us, still guiding us. Now, I want to address the scientific perspective on all of this, because I know some of you are thinking, this sounds beautiful, but is there any evidence? Or is this just wishful thinking, just the brain trying to cope with loss? And the answer is, there is evidence. Not the kind of evidence that will satisfy a hardcore materialist, perhaps, but evidence nonetheless. There have been numerous studies on near-death experiences, on deathbed visions, on mediumship, on the survival of consciousness after death. And while the scientific establishment is still largely skeptical, the data is compelling. Researchers like Dr. Raymond Moody, Dr. Pim van Lommel, Dr. Bruce Grayson, and many others have documented thousands of cases of people who have had near-death experiences. These people report leaving their bodies, traveling through a tunnel, encountering deceased loved ones, experiencing a life review, and then returning to their bodies with profound insights about the nature of reality. And the consistency of these reports across cultures, across ages, across belief systems is remarkable. There have also been studies on mediumship, where researchers have tested mediums under controlled conditions to see if they can truly receive information from the deceased. And some of these studies have shown statistically significant results that cannot be explained by cold reading, by prior research, or by chance. The mediums bring through specific names, specific details, specific memories that they could not possibly have known. And then there is the research on deathbed visions, where dying people report seeing deceased loved ones in the room with them in the hours or days before they die. These visions are often dismissed as hallucinations caused by medication or by the dying brain. But many of them occur in people who are not on medication, who are mentally clear, and who describe the visions with such clarity and peace that it transforms the experience of dying for them and for their families. I am not saying that science has proven the survival of consciousness. I am saying that there is enough evidence, enough data, enough documented experiences to suggest that consciousness may indeed continue after the death of the body. And for those of us who have experienced the signs directly, who have felt the presence of our loved ones, who have received messages that could not be explained by coincidence or imagination, the evidence of our own experience is enough. Now, let me take you into the deeper spiritual teachings about what happens after death, because understanding this can help you understand why and how the signs appear. In many spiritual traditions, it is taught that when we die, we go through a process of transition. The soul leaves the body and enters what some call the astral realm, the spirit world, the bardo, the intermediate state. This is not yet the final destination, but a place of healing,
of review, of preparation for what comes next. In this realm, the soul is met by guides, by angels, by loved ones who have gone before.
There is a life review, where the soul sees its entire life from a higher perspective, understanding the impact of its choices, the lessons it learned, the love it gave and received. There is healing of any trauma, any pain, any unfinished business from the life that just ended. And there is a gradual adjustment to the new state of being, to the reality of existing without a physical body. During this transition period, which can last days, weeks, or even months in our time, the soul is still very connected to the earthly realm, to the people it loved, to the life it just left. And this is often when the signs are most frequent, most intense. The soul is reaching back, saying goodbye, offering comfort, letting us know it is okay. As time passes, the soul moves deeper into the spiritual realm. It may take on new roles, new responsibilities. It may become a guide for those still on earth. It may prepare for its next incarnation, if you believe in reincarnation. But even as it moves forward on its own journey, it does not forget us. The bonds of love remain. And it can still reach back, still send signs, still communicate, whenever we need it, whenever we call out to it. Some traditions teach that our loved ones become our guardian angels, our spirit guides, watching over us, helping us navigate the challenges of life, orchestrating synchronicities to keep us on our path. Other traditions teach that they are simply resting, healing, waiting for us to join them when our own time comes. And still others teach that they are actively learning, growing, evolving in the spiritual realm, just as we are learning and growing here. I do not claim to know exactly what happens after death. No one alive can know for certain.
But what I do know, from my own experience and from the experiences of countless others, is that consciousness continues, that love endures, and that the veil between the worlds is thin enough for communication to occur. And I want to tell you something else, something that may bring you great comfort. In many spiritual teachings, it is said that when we die, we are reunited not just with those who died before us, but with all the love we have ever known. Imagine that. Imagine crossing over and being greeted by your grandmother, your childhood friend, your beloved pet, everyone you have ever loved who has gone before you. Imagine the joy, the recognition, the homecoming. This is what awaits us. This is what our loved ones are experiencing now. And from that place of love, of reunion, of peace, they reach back to us. They send us signs to let us know that they are okay, that they are happy, that they are still with us in spirit. And they wait for us, knowing that one day, when our own journey on earth is complete, we will join them. And there will be no more separation, no more veil, no more need for signs, because we will be together again, in a reality where love is all that exists. Now I want to talk about the role of ritual and ceremony in maintaining connection with those who have passed, because humans have always known, instinctively, that honoring the dead is important.
Every culture has rituals for death, for mourning, for remembrance. And these rituals serve a purpose beyond just helping us process grief. They also serve to maintain the connection, to keep the veil thin, to honor the ongoing relationship between the living and the dead.
You might light a candle on their birthday or on the anniversary of their death. You might visit their grave and speak to them. You might create an altar with their photograph and objects that remind you of them. You might cook their favorite meal on holidays and set a place for them at the table. You might plant a tree in their memory and sit beneath it when you need to feel close to them. These rituals are not empty gestures. They are powerful acts of love and remembrance. They create sacred space. They focus your intention. They send a signal to your loved one that you are thinking of them, that you are open to connection, that you have not forgotten them. And they often create the conditions for signs to appear, for communication to occur, for the presence to be felt. I encourage you to create your own rituals, your own ways of honoring and connecting with those you have lost. There is no right or wrong way to do this. What matters is the intention, the love, the sincerity. Trust your instincts. Do what feels meaningful to you. And pay attention to what happens when you engage in these rituals. You may be surprised by the signs that appear, by the sense of presence that arises, by the comfort and peace that flows into your heart. I also want to address the question of forgiveness and unfinished business, because this is something that weighs heavily on many people who are grieving. Perhaps you had a difficult relationship with the person who died. Perhaps there were words left unsaid, apologies never given, conflicts never resolved. Perhaps you carry guilt about something you did or did not do. And you wonder, is it too late? Can healing still occur even though they are no longer physically here? And I want to tell you, it is not too late. Healing can still occur. Forgiveness can still be given and received. Communication can still happen, even across the veil. If you carry guilt, speak it aloud to your loved one. Tell them you are sorry. Tell them what you wish you had done differently. Ask for their forgiveness. And then, in the silence that follows, listen. Feel. Pay attention to any sense of peace, of release, of warmth that arises in your heart. That is their forgiveness. That is their love reaching you, telling you that it is okay, that they understand, that they hold no grudge, that all is forgiven. If you carry anger, if you feel that they wronged you and never made it right, speak that too. Tell them how you feel. Tell them what you needed from them. And then, when you are ready, offer forgiveness. Not because they deserve it necessarily, but because you deserve to be free from the burden of that anger. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, and when you offer it, you will often feel their gratitude, their relief, their own healing occurring on the other side. And if there were words left unsaid, say them now. Tell them you love them. Tell them you miss them. Tell them what they meant to you. Tell them the stories you wish you had shared. Tell them your dreams, your fears, your hopes. They can hear you. They are listening, and your words will reach them, will touch them, will strengthen the bond between you. The relationship does not end with death. It transforms. And that transformation can include healing, growth, deepening understanding, and profound love. Do not let the physical separation convince you that it is too late to heal the wounds, to speak the truth, to find peace. It is never too late.
Now, as we truly move toward the close of our time together, I want to share with you a specific practice, something you can do tonight to invite communication, to open the door more fully. Before you go to sleep tonight, sit quietly for a few moments. Light a candle if you wish. Hold a photograph of your loved one or an object that belonged to them, or simply hold them in your heart. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, and then speak to them. Say something like this: I know you are with me, even though I cannot see you. I feel your presence. I miss you deeply, and I am grateful for the love we shared. Tonight, I ask you to come to me in my dreams. Show me that you are at peace. Show me that you are still with me. Give me a sign, a message, something I will remember when I wake. I am open. I am listening. I love you. And then release it. Do not force it. Do not lie awake trying to make it happen. Simply trust that your invitation has been received and allow yourself to sleep. Keep a journal by your bed, and if you wake with a dream, write it down immediately before it fades. I cannot promise that you will have a visitation dream that very night, but I can tell you that this practice, done with sincerity and openness, has brought profound experiences to many, many people. And even if the dream does not come immediately, you have opened the door. You have sent out the invitation. And in the days and weeks that follow, pay attention. The response may come in a different form than you expected. I also want to leave you with this thought. Grief is not something to be fixed or gotten over. It is something to be integrated. It is the price we pay for love. And it is also the evidence of love. The fact that you grieve is proof that you loved deeply, that you were changed by this person, that they mattered. And that is beautiful. That is sacred. But grief does not have to be only pain. It can also be connection. It can also be transformation. It can be the doorway through which you discover that life is more than what we can see and touch, that consciousness is eternal, that love never dies. Your loved one is not gone. They have changed form. They have stepped into a larger reality, but they are still themselves. They still love you. And they are still with you, in ways seen and unseen, in signs and symbols, in dreams
and whispers in the quiet knowing of your heart. So I want you to watch for the signs. I want you to trust your experiences. I want you to talk to them, to keep them present in your life, not as a ghost of the past, but as a living presence in your ongoing journey. And I want you to live. I want you to honor their memory by living fully, by loving deeply, by finding joy again, by becoming the person they always believed you could be. Because that is what they want for you. That is their greatest wish. Before we close, I want to invite you to share your experience in the comments. Tell me, which sign have you experienced most strongly? Was it a dream, a scent, an animal, a song, a touch? Share your story, because your story will comfort someone else who is reading, someone who needs to know they are not alone, that this is real, that their loved one is still with them. And if you found value in this message, if it brought you comfort or clarity or hope, please share this video with someone who is grieving, someone who is searching, someone who needs to hear that death is not the end. Because this message is not just for you. It is for everyone who has loved and lost and wondered if the connection endures. I want to leave you with a blessing, a prayer, a wish from my heart to yours. May you feel the presence of those you have loved and lost. May you recognize the signs they send. May you trust the whispers of your heart. May you know with absolute certainty that love is stronger than death, that consciousness is eternal, that you are never, ever alone. May you find peace in your grief, joy in your memories, and hope in the knowledge that one day, when your own time comes to cross the veil, you will be reunited with those who have gone before you. And until that day, may you live fully, love deeply, and walk in the light of the connection that can never be broken. They are with you. They have always been with you. They will always be with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying open to the mystery, to the wonder, to the truth that we are more than these bodies, more than this brief moment in time. Go in peace, go in love, and know that you are held always by forces seen and unseen, by love that transcends all boundaries, all limitations, all endings. Until we meet again, I hold you in my heart, and I honor the love that brought you here, the love that endures, the love that will never die. Blessings to you and to those you carry in your heart. May the signs come clearly. May the connection deepen. May you find comfort in knowing that death is not goodbye, but simply until we meet again. And so it is.